Henry Ford, a real American superhero. Henry Ford was born on July 30th, 1863, to William and Mary Ford. His family lived on a farm in Wayne County, Michigan, where Ford spent most of his childhood. Ford was unsatisfied with his work on the family farm, so he left home at the age of 16 to start an apprenticeship with a machinist in Detroit. In the years that followed, he learned to skillfully operate and service steam engines and also studied bookkeeping. In 1888, Ford married Clara Bryant and ran a small sawmill in order to support his wife and son Edsel. 3 years later, he was hired to be an engineer for Edison Illuminating Company. Due to his natural talents, Ford was promoted to chief engineer shortly after being hired. While working at Edison Illuminating, he began working on building the first gas-powered horseless carriage, which he called the quadricycle. Ford was determined to improve on his model, so he sold the quadricycle in order to continue building other vehicles. Later that year, Henry Ford attended a meeting with the executives of the Edison Illuminating Company, where he presented his plans for the automobile to Thomas Edison. Edison was impressed with the plans and encouraged Ford to build a second model which would be even better.
The Ford Motor Company entered the auto industry at a time when automobiles were very expensive and viewed as a luxury only affordable to the wealthy. Ford, however, made it his goal to produce an automobile that would be affordable to practically any employed individual. 5 years after the introduction of the Ford Motor Company, Henry Ford realized that goal with the production of the first Model T in October 1908. In 1908, the prices of an automobile produced by Ford's competitors ranged between $2,000 to $3,000. Ford's price for a Model T was drastically lower, at $825. Production by way of the assembly line allowed the Ford Motor Company to produce automobiles at a faster pace and for a fraction of the cost. These reductions in cost were then transferred over to the consumer in the form of lower prices. Over the next 17 years, Ford was able to reduce the price of the Model T to $260 by 1925. These extremely low prices, relative to the competition, allowed people from all walks of life to be able to purchase an automobile of their own. The Model Ts were nicknamed by some as freedom machines. This name was a direct result of the increase in freedom afforded to the proud new owners of the Model Ts. This affordable automobile enabled farmers to travel to and from town to sell their goods at the market and allowed rural America and enhanced mobility to travel at will. The customers of Ford Motor Company were far from being the only beneficiaries of Henry Ford's trailblazing business. His employees were compensated far better than the employees of his competitors. Ford paid his workers a minimum of $5 for an 8-hour workday, while his competitors paid their workers an average of $2.39 for a 9-hour workday. Ford also offered profit sharing to select employees who stayed with the company for a period of 6 months and who also conducted their lives in a respectable manner. By offering attractive compensation, Ford was able to retain highly skilled and motivated workers and keep them loyal to the company.
Henry Ford's success not only made its mark on the auto industry, but the United States economy as a whole. During the 1920s, a car was produced every 10 seconds. In order to produce at such an incredible rate, it required a great deal of material. As a result, industries producing materials such as petrol, rubber, and glass needed to increase to a larger scale production in order to fill the demand of the booming auto industry. Other industries noticed the success of Ford's assembly line and used similar mass production techniques to produce masses of cheap goods that were now affordable to the likes of ordinary people.
During the 1920s, America experienced an incredible economic boom with Henry Ford in the driver's seat, along with a few other great entrepreneurs. Any working American could now afford a car. Roads and suburbs were being developed as the result of the Model T's impact on travel, and manufacturers all over America were incorporating Ford's production methods in order to decrease production costs, leading to lower prices for American consumers and prosperity for American businesses. Ford's impact had truly swept across America. On December 18, 1999, the Ford Model T was named the Car of the Century by a panel of 133 automotive journalists and experts. The list consisted of 700 candidates, but none as impactful on the American culture as the Model T. This impact was only possible as a result of the selfless entrepreneurial ideals of Henry Ford. He once said, "If money is your hope for independence, you will never have it. The only real security that a man can have in this world is the reserve of knowledge, experience, and ability." He demonstrated his firm belief in this statement through his generous wages, low product prices, and his continuous pursuit of excellence in all that he did. Henry Ford was truly the hero of the American consumer.